Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I think when the current constitution was getting drafted, the main objective was about devolution, whereby the governance and the allocation of resources was supposed to be removed from the centralized system of government from the previous constitution to the grassroots levels. That was the main objective of the current constitution. And the people who are going to be given this mandate were the governors. But as the way it has already turned out, now the governors have now become the biggest threat of the so-called devolution. Because how comes 13 years later after devolution? Because the current constitution started being in operational, started working after the 2013 election, and now as we are in 2026, that is already 13 years later. And here we are, like the current Mandera governor, Ahmed Adan Khalif, was in Senate in Public Accounts Committee, whereby he was asked to explain where 55.9 million shillings is, to account about it. And he went on and said that they bought seedlings. He was asked, what type of seedlings did you buy? He said maize. And then the senators asked him, you cannot plant any maize from seedlings. Maize normally comes from seeds. And where did you plant those seedlings? They were planted along River Dawa. And this is what the farmers from Mandera County said.
We want to give a praise from BB1 irrigation scheme. What the governor has said the day before yesterday in the Senate was not true, totally. And we are telling the Senate to come at BB1 irrigation scheme and see if there is that seedlings that the governor was saying was planted in this scheme. This scheme is 200 acres, BB1 irrigation scheme. No tree, either a mango tree or a pawpaw tree or avocado tree or onions that the governor was saying, or maize. There is no day that Governor Mack has brought for us any seedlings. That was not true, totally. We are telling the national government that the governor was saying wrong. It was not true. From BB1 to Malkameri irrigation, we don't know the other irrigations, but in our irrigation BB1 scheme, there is nothing that he has brought for us. Even a bag of maize, even a bag of fertilizer. From 2022 up to today. And he is the governor of the county. I am wondering why he is saying like that. Totally wrong. So we are appealing to the national government and the county government. Even the minister of agriculture, he must resign because his governor is saying wrong. There is nothing brought here. We don't know why they are saying that like that. We are telling the Senate to come Mandera and visit BB1 irrigation scheme so that you see in your eyes no seedlings that was brought here. Na tunaomba serikali kuu wakuje waangalie irrigation scheme yetu. Watu wa BB1 sahi wanakufa njaa, mashamba yao imekauka, hakuna maji mto, River Dawa, there is no water now. Tunaomba serikali kuu wakuje hapa waangalie hiyo maneno. Gavana yetu anasema hakuna miti moja maembe ametuletea, hakuna avocado ametuletea, hakuna usaidizi yoyote. Tafadhali tunaomba wakuje Senate hapa waangalie hii maneno vizuri sana. 55.9 million sio pesa kidogo, ni pesa mingi sana, na haijafika wananchi, haijafika sisi. Mimi ndio chairman ya irrigation scheme BP1 na hatujaona wazee wote wako hapa, vice chairman iko hapa, secretary ndo huyu, hao wazee ni members wa kumitia PP1. Sisi bado ona hiyo maneno na tunaomba iangaliwe vizuri sana.
Now the actual farmers on the ground, that is in Mandera County, are rebuking the Governor Mohammed Adan Khalif statement about being given any seedlings. So, and during his time in the PAC, that is Public Accounts Committee, he said that they have already bought seedlings and they have dished out or given out to the farmers in the area, but there was no any actual evidence. There was no any data whereby he could articulate we bought this type of or this quantity of seedlings. The seedlings was this type of seedling. Either it was either tree, this type of trees, whatever it is. There was no data. There was no quantity. There was no type. There was no data. They distributed to how many farmers, where those farmers are located, where the area where they are. There were not any pictures. It was just his word of mouth. Mind you, this is the same governor who is already being accused of building 120 flats in Parkland area in Nairobi worth 2.4 billion. And yet in Mandera and most of northeastern region at the moment, there is a severe drought where people are dying out of hunger because lack of water and lack of food. And yet there is already 55.9 million which cannot be accounted for, and this is the current situation in Mandera.
Kila mtu natoroka Nairobi. Hii mambo habadilishe. Umerebi kitena ajaona maisha yetu. Mmejenga hata ajaona. Council ajaona. Iko na gavana, iko na senator, iko na umerebi, iko na councilor. Abo njia iko na anja. Wala ile najenga hapo yote natoroka Nairobi. Natafuta Nairobi ni nini? Manyawe hapa maskini ndo najenga hata nalia na anja. Mandera iko na anja. Kila mtu natoroka Nairobi. Hii mambo habadilishe. Umerebi kitena ajaona maisha yetu. Mmejenga hata ajaona. Council ajaona. Hii tabia. Watu wajenga kwa Nairobi na jenga watu hapo kwa Mandera. Maambia misiana yetu ya umerebi. Maambia badilisha hii tabia hii na council na naitwa gavana yetu. Naitwa Mheshimiwa Roba maambia mtu ya maskini abana sawa maskini.
As you can see, people are actually suffering because there's nothing terrible or something bad like dying out of hunger. That is a very slow and painful death because you normally that is articulating around is it 21 days, 3 weeks without putting any food in your mouth. So that is a very painful and slow death. And also, the governor was unable to articulate 345 million, whereby he said that money was used for relief items. And then 12 million was used as a cash transfer given to the elderly people. And 32.8, it was for water tracking. Yet, there's no any project to curb this drought at all. All the money is just being misappropriated. And we are talking about 13 years later after devolution. But the scenario is just the same. As if before devolution. The only thing the people in most of these governors, they are very unable to do is just looting, enriching themselves, and living a very good life at the expense of the citizens who elected them, who are just suffering day and night, 365 days in a year. And you tend to wonder with the scenario, huyo ni mtu yetu. And yet at the end of the day, huyo mtu yenyu, anakukula. Anabiefu sanga panya. Anakukula ikupulizaga. When they come on the ground, they will normally talk their vernacular language, so that at the end of the day, you tend to say, mtu yetu huyu anatujali, But the only thing they are good at is, first of all, is lying, deceiving, and using you as a pawn in their political games.